Hey everybody, back in the shop working on another 308 this evening. We've got a 308 that is one that I built for a buddy of mine at church. From the beginning, it had some feeding issues, and I think I figured out what the problem is. We have a nice muzzle brake on there. It's a Faxon barrel, nice and lightweight. Really cool leather strap he's got on here. We're gonna give him a different quick disconnect down there. I've got one of those Sullivan arms that quick attaches. That'll allow him to experiment with his positioning on that. And I'll take the strap off here in a second, but you guys probably remember this gun. So this is one that was assembled with some of my leftover parts from all of our 8.6 blackout builds. And then he bought a lower receiver, showed him how to put it together. We've got a nice drop-in trigger in there. This one is a Rise Armament, I believe. I'll have to get in there and look, it's been a while. Upgraded shift pins from Strike Industries and also a control here from Strike Industries. I like the oversized that they did there. So I mentioned from the beginning, we've had some feeding issues. Mostly had to do with ejection issues. We weren't getting a really strong ejection. They were just kind of falling out. The gas block that we have on here and the gas tube all should be fine. We were shooting at the range together the other day, and I think I realized what the problem is. Let me get this taken apart and I'll bring you along. So even when you're not suppressed, you do got to pay close attention to your gas system. I've said it many times, and mostly because I've learned from my mistakes. The gas blocks are not all created equal, and neither are those gas tubes. I've done a lot of suppressed LR308s with our 8.6 blackout, and I've found quite a bit of variance in the gas pen sizes as far as how big that hole is, and then also the quality of the gas blocks. Even if they're adjustable, even when they're adjustable, they're not always the longevity of that. You've got a lot of carbon coming through there, and so you want to get a good design and get a quality gas block. It really does make a difference. Always liked this Gun Tech handguard that we got. We got that in for one of the 16-inch 8.6 blackouts, and that was one of the first times that I experienced a difference in a DPMS high and a DPMS low. Obviously, we did not have a good matchup from the upper receiver. So when building this gun out, I knew that I had a low handguard, made sure and got a low upper receiver. I mentioned that I thought I knew what the problem was, and it looks like I was correct. You can kind of see the faint outline there of where the gas block was covering the hole, and it was definitely not centered. Now, ultimately, that's my fault. I didn't get it centered on there, but I'm also curious as to the differences. Well, it looks like it was pretty good there. So we actually found this out at the range, and I went ahead and took the handguard off at the range. Friends with the range guys there, and so normally they don't let you work on your guns at the firing line. Just a couple of us were there, and they give me some leniency because I'm a frequent flyer out there. And so they were over actually helping me looking at it, and we actually thought that the gas tube was maybe a little bit crooked. Now that I have it off of the gun, it does not look crooked, but I did bend this a little bit. And then a reason I wanted to take the gun home with me was I wanted to properly attach this, and I didn't have any Loctite and stuff like that at the range. I did go ahead and snug it up, and we shot the gun, and that was definitely our problem. We had a much more consistent ejection pattern and no more feeding issues. Originally, I thought we had a buffer spring issue or a weight issue. The AR-10 takes some dialing in to get it done right. In a previous video, I talked about the reasons you would get double feeds on the 308 specific platform, and there was three main things for that. For this gun, given that we knew we saw weak ejection, it just wasn't flinging it very far, a couple of feet when it should have been more like 5 or 6 feet, and also the degree, it was not at 3 o'clock. So pretty much knew we had a gas issue. But what I don't recall from when I put this together, put it together with him here, and so it's possible I just didn't check everything as thoroughly because I was kind of showing someone how to do it. There's quite a bit of room for error, let's call it, when you're aligning your gas block and your gas port on the barrel. The barrel has the smaller hole and the gas block itself has a larger hole. So if you're anywhere on there, you're not going to get it's pretty much going to line up the way that it needs to. And so as long as you're close to being straight, then that should be good enough. And I can tell that I was a little bit off-centered, but the entire hole was putting gas into the gas block. So the next thing I was checking was the straightness. Now, what I think happened was I think I was close here. I think my gas tube was a little bit bent. Sometimes that happens in shipping. And if I didn't catch it when I put it together, then that would cause those things not to be lined up, but it looked like it's straight. But I've been tweaking on this and I feel like it's really straight. I'm not going to replace it because this was a really nice Faxon gas tube. And so you want to make sure you get a good gas tube. As I said earlier, they're not all the same. We're going to run some air through there just to make sure that everything is fine, and we'll get this put back together. Now, I'm not going to do this on camera because you guys will make endless fun of me, but if you stick your finger right there into the chamber and you've got your gas block where it's loose, you can actually put your lips to this end and blow, and you'll hear the air go through the gas port. By moving the gas port, you can fine tune that and make sure that you're centered over the hole. If you don't trust your alignment issue, that's another cheap way to do it. Now, recently, I came across a Teslong bore scope, and I'll have a link for it down below. Teslong was nice enough to send that out, and I have been using that to help align our gas blocks. So off camera here, I will fire that dude up, and we'll make sure that this is perfectly straight before we Loctite our gas block on there, reattach our muzzle device, the handguard, and then we'll be ready to go back out and test fire. All right, so that's gonna do it for today's video. YouTube thinks you'll like this video right here. Don't be afraid to jump out there and try some of this stuff. I am always trying to fine tune, do better, learn more, and make the best firearm that I can. There's a lot of tinkering involved in some of these platforms. I feel like the AR-15s just go together the first time every time, but 308 will catch you off guard if you're not ready for it.